Welcome to our very first podcast, radio, whatever you want to call it, episode. We figured if we get the more content out to everybody, we could do not only the shows, but also, a podcast, radio. How would you call it, Chance?
Just audio.
Audio episodes, yeah, that's the best way. And what's crazy is when I was in college, Chance, I actually got into the radio before I got into doing things, in front of a camera and stuff like that, which I really enjoyed. But
yeah, didn't you used to recap the Saturday games and stuff
Yes.
like that for Tuscaloosa?
So that was kind of my internship. I'd go into the radio station before the games, and we kind of go over me and probably 5 or 6 other people and give our takes on the game and what we thought was going to happen. So I really enjoyed that. When you start looking into the business of getting into on screen, you got to go through a lot of people to get to that situation to where you're in front of a chair and the camera. So radio is definitely a quicker way to get to it. But now with the podcast game the way it is, most people are doing podcast and not even really needing video to do what they want to do. So, but we're excited to bring you our first radio podcast audio episode, Final Answer. I think that we're going to start using these to kind of go over a lot of stuff. The recap stuff before we get into a lot of our main things. Once the NFL draft and college football and things start, we spend a lot of time recapping before the show, making the show kind of a little bit longer than what we'd like it to be. So I think this would be a good way of cutting down.
We can get a lot more content out to our listeners and subscribers.
Yes.
It's just going to be, I think, good for us to keep getting more information and our opinions and our views out there for everybody to respond back, and hopefully we can get some actual call-ins and stuff. It'll be a lot easier with these audio episodes to be able to do that.
Well, and not to mention, I look a lot better when I'm on the audio than I do on the tube, so that definitely helps out a lot. But a lot to get into. Just kind of like I said, wanted to recap and kind of give you the direction we're going on the show. But I think the big news for me, I want to start with is Jalen Hurts. Big deal he gets. It was, to me, a necessary deal. I mean, the guy's only 24 years old, and $179 million guaranteed, $225 million overall. Eagles secure their quarterback of the future. I can't say that I didn't think about, man, they just did this with Carson Wentz a couple years ago. So it just, crazy how much money these teams have to spend.
And where did he end up at?
Commanders to the Colts to whoever. And as we talk, they're already projecting maybe Anthony Richardson to be the 4th overall pick to the Colts. So they're already about to move on from Wentz. So crazy that they were giving Wentz this kind of money after, the great first couple of years he had. But I think Jalen's the guy. I think Jalen's their Donovan McNabb, running Donovan McNabb, whatever you want to call it, of the future that's going to be in there for 10, 15 years. And, the Eagles are a team to be reckoned with for the next 10 years if he's playing quarterback and healthy playing quarterback.
And what really caught my eye from that deal is his management and agent team. The all-female team going in there dominating. Back in January, she tweets out, "Hey, does anybody know where I can get a Brinks truck from?" Well, 2 days ago or yesterday, she knew exactly where to get one from, and that's what she retweeted. She said, "Never mind, found one," because she knew back in January she was securing the biggest bag for her client than any other player. And that's what happened.
And I think it goes back as far as she said that, she actually, either emailed him or messaged him when he was in college, trying to give him representation.
So before he was
even big or drafted. So this is somebody who's been pushing the envelope with Jalen since he was in college, or saying, "Hey, I'd like to represent you." Because after Oklahoma, his stock was a little bit higher than Alabama, but leaving Alabama, his stock wasn't very high. And even in the NFL, he had to prove to critics that, hey, I can throw the football down the field, which he proved, all year long, being the MVP. Good for her, good for Jalen. I think Jalen is one of those people that wherever you go, wherever you talk, everybody loves Jalen.
Oh, yeah. And it's funny seeing all the Alabama fans still claiming Jalen as oh, look what we got. We got another quarterback with a great deal. He left that last year and dominated from somewhere else.
Yeah, but I think, too, Chance, I think that Jalen had a lot of great memories at Alabama. It's just weird on a situation like that where it's you want to claim the good times, but you also were wanting somebody else to be doing the same job as him and really kind of shooing him to the side. So it's like, yeah, they had a lot of good times, won a national championship. It went to another 2 national championships with Jalen as quarterback. But to me, it's just that's one of those things. It's just kind of an odd situation. It's like, we know you moved on to somebody else, but you still love me because I'm doing good and obviously making more money and having a better NFL career than Tua so far. But what does this mean for the other quarterbacks? And that's kind of what I wanted to get into next. Lamar still waiting on the big payday. Ravens signed Odell Beckham Jr. I think they're trying to kind of get him in and lure him in by getting a big time receiver. But I don't think they want to pay him the kind of money he's wanting that Deshaun Watson or Jalen is getting. But if you recall, look back, that what they originally offered him in the winter fall was more than what Jalen got. So they offered him more money guaranteed, $200 guaranteed, and a little bit more than what Jalen got. Now, everybody's just stuck on the whole thing with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson didn't get $355 million like Jalen did, or whatever it is. He just got the guaranteed money. And it was his whole contract's pretty much guaranteed. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So $230 million. So these guys, they're saying, hey, I've done more than Deshaun Watson. I need to be getting more money than him. And it's like, well, before Deshaun Watson had all his stuff, he was dominating with the Texans and winning playoff games. And so
with a team that didn't deserve it.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they had Hopkins.
Granted, Rodgers has proven he's done that with Green Bay.
Well, let's don't jump to Rodgers. Let's stick with Jackson. Does Jackson deserve that type of money? I say yes. I think Jackson is a generational player. I think if you put the right people around him, if he can stay healthy, that's been the big thing. Even the playoffs this year, doesn't play. He's not healthy. If he plays healthy, I like them against any team to win the game. And if as long as you have a quarterback that you can say, hey, I'm going out here and I can possibly win this game, then I've seen him beat Patrick Mahomes. I've seen him beat all these other guys. Like I think he deserves to get paid.
I agree. If he can stay healthy, but with that, how do you keep someone like Lamar healthy? Jalen, his body's built different than Lamar's. He's thicker, stronger, and more built. Lamar gets injured because of the risk he takes running so much in those games and pretty much how thin he is as a quarterback. So his body takes a lot more of a beating than I feel like Jalen's does. And I don't know if they've got the passing offense to keep him healthy an entire season.
Well, again, I don't think he's the passer to do that. Exactly. I mean, I no offense to Lamar Jackson. He's a great player, and him and
he has proven he's a passer.
He's proven he's a passer, but not a passer like these other guys.
Yeah.
He's not even in the same category. He's not even in the top 10. I mean, if you really want to get down to it, you got Mahomes, you got Burrow, you got Allen, you got Trevor Lawrence. You got. I mean, we're just literally going over. I'm not even getting into really the nitty gritty yet.
And he's not in the top 5.
Herbert, Matt Stafford, Jalen Hurts. I mean, I'm not taking Lamar throwing the ball over any of those guys yet, and we're already at number 7, 8. I know we're probably leaving off a couple guys too. So it's to me, Rodgers. Duh. So again, that's where the game's heading. And yet he's proving when he's doing the run game type thing, he's gotten injured, missed playoff games. They made the playoffs. And when Tyler Huntley's having to start for you, just like, other teams have experienced in the past, you got to have the quarterback. You got to have and you got to have the healthy quarterback.
Can Huntley win you games in the season? Yes. Is he going to win you every playoff game to get you through it? No.
Geno Smith, same thing, story of his career. Can win you some games in the regular season, not going to win you a playoff game. I think Lamar can win them playoff games, but again, he is special running the football. That's what he has to do. Every game I watch them play and they're dominating, he's making 50, 60-yard runs and just and really using his legs, but that comes at a price. How long can you pay that price? It'll be interesting to see what they finally – I think he's going to go back to the Ravens. What's your projection?
I think he'll stay with the Ravens. I think they'll get him a better deal than he wanted, or not that he wanted, a better deal than we expected he'd get. But because of that no agent thing, I think it's going to hurt him more. I don't think the NFL is going to just bend over and let someone without an agent control the situation, because then that means every player is going to start doing that, and that takes an entire business away from the sport.
Well, you think too, it's like I said, it's like selling your house without a real estate agent. People don't look at you the same. It's like, why is he for selling it by owner? Why is it, it's just it looks more professional to come off the other way, but there's more money to be made. Lamar's probably thinking, I got to pay this agent 10% off $300 million. That's $3 million.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, think about it. That's a lot. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, for someone just talking for you, basically.
Yes, exactly. And again, he's not presenting, a lot of money like Mahomes. You don't see Lamar Jackson much in commercials. Have you thought about that?
Well, again, he doesn't have the management team or the agent behind
Exactly. So there's a lot more money where, Pat Mahomes is going to be a billionaire before it's all said and done.
He's already invested in teams.
He's already invested in teams. You see him, Head and Shoulders, all this other kind of stuff that Mahomes, State Farm with Aaron Rodgers. So I feel like Lamar doesn't really get to do any of that stuff to where he could be making more money, but maybe if you don't make that other kind of money, you got to focus on what the money you make in the NFL. And so maybe they're like, man, I ain't got $3 million to waste on an agent. So I'm sure he does, but
right.
You get my point.
But then with him getting Odell brought over there, I think that's a little bit more leeway for the Ravens to say, look, we did this big deal for someone. Can you work with us and take less than you were wanting?
Mahomes, they've already started restructuring his contract. I feel like that.
Jeez.
I'm telling you, he is doing the Brady way. He's making so much money everywhere else. He's like, just like Brady was. And it's like, I don't need this money. Let's give more money to the players and let's get better teammates around me. Mahomes will continue to do that throughout his career. Watch. Where other guys like Josh Allen, it's like, give me the most money possible. It's like, man, no. Look at Brady. Brady was always like 15th, 16th highest paid quarterback. Maybe even that. And it's like, but he was getting big.
He was getting rings.
Yes. So, again, it's like, I look at these, when there's a salary cap and all this other kind of stuff, you got to look into that kind of stuff. So, which brings us to our last topic in the NFL is Aaron Rodgers. No deal has been done with the Jets. The longer it goes, the longer you wonder. It's like, should the Jets be looking at a different plan now? Should they be thinking, what if we don't get this guy? Like, is he going to go back to Green Bay after he's saying, he doesn't want to play there anymore because they're moving on? I think it gets done, but, golly, how long is this going to go on for? This is, the draft's coming up and next week. You think it had to be done before the draft. But I'll tell you this right here.
Oh, yeah. DeMar Hamlin got cleared. That's good news.
Yep.
Back to Rodgers.
Great news. Breaking news. Yeah, DeMar Hamlin was cleared. He'll be back playing with the Bills next year. That is awesome news after that horrific accident on Monday Night Football. Back to Rodgers. I think that he is almost like, I'm thinking like Brady when he went to Tampa. Okay. They had Godwin. They had Mike Evans. They had the pieces down there. They're like, golly, there's some young talent down there. Maybe I can get a Super Bowl Garrett Wilson. These guys like when you have somebody that wins AP Rookie of the Year, that's a pretty good sign. And I believe running back they had too before he got hurt was having a great year. Chance you have to look up and see what that Jets running back name is. I think Reese maybe. But yes. I think Rodgers has to be looking and saying, "What's the young core look like? Who do I want to step up with?" And I'm telling you, I think that the Jets was one of those teams that would be somebody I would look at because of the young Breece Hall. Okay, I said Reese Breece Hall, and then just like with Tampa, Devin White, Levante David, all these great defenders they had. They had a really good defense, too, that carried them to a Super Bowl victory against the Chiefs. Antonio Whitfield, these a young core. Look at the Jets. Sauce Gardner, man. Like, they got a young team.
C.J. Uzomah at tight end is a backup. Tyler Conklin in front of him. That's two good tight ends.
Quinnen Williams, another young defensive top 5 overall pick. So the Jets have had a couple top 5 overall picks that they're playing. C.J. Mosley's there, so they got some veteran presence. I think that, golly, I think they have major, major potential. And I would love to see Rodgers with them, but it scares me that the deal hadn't been done yet. But I think with next week, the draft coming up, there's going to be a lot of just crazy things happening.
The draft's going to answer a lot of questions. Some of these teams might be holding off until the draft to see what they get and then make their deal towards Rodgers. I'm telling you,
somebody is going – here's the numbers right here. Deshaun Watson, $230 million guaranteed. Kyler Murray's actually got more than Jalen, so Jalen wasn't the biggest.
Well, yeah, Kyler's was made, and then everybody hated it because he also had contract agreements about his gaming and stuff.
Yeah.
Like allowing him time for that, for K1 or whatever.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see for the Lamar. But Rodgers, I think the deal's got to get done. But the draft's next week. I think people are going to get some really good steals chance in the other parts of the draft in the first round, not being quarterback. I think these people are going to be desperate for these 3-4 quarterbacks, Richardson, Levis, Bryce Young, and C.J. Stroud. I think they're going to be desperate for them. They're going to overreach for a couple of them, especially Richardson and Levis. I was not thinking these guys are game changers from day one, but these teams like the Colts and the Falcons, they need a quarterback, you know. Somebody's going to overreach for the Titans, another team. I know the Falcons just drafted the kid from Cincinnati, Desmond Ridder, and I know the Titans just drafted who was it? Malik Willis.
Yeah, but I think they tried Malik, and I think he showed that he can't win an entire season. He's athletic and he's doing making big plays and stuff, but he just wasn't running the plays the way they need their plays.
Is that the window? Is the window that small in the NFL where they said, man, 3 starts, this guy either has it or doesn't have it? Is that really?
To me personally, when you have someone like Derrick Henry who you can hand the ball off, which I don't think he even had him all those games, but when you have someone like Derrick Henry where it's just here, play actions, I feel like you should be able to
I watched
control
one of those games. He struggled. They stopped throwing the football.
Yeah. So, you should be play action in most of the time when you've got that, and you should have an advantage because of that weapon back there.
But I think Richardson, man, I think he's just like a rich man's Malik Willis. I mean, honestly, like I said, he
bigger body,
can throw it farther and stuff, but like I don't see him just dominating. Like, you know, everybody wants that RG3, that now Trevor Lawrence in a couple of years, Josh Allen, where it's like by year 2, pretty much you're already getting major production. Jalen, 24 years old, man, took his team to a Super Bowl. Was his 3rd year? Right. So maybe the window is very small. I'm saying, hey, if you the guy, I mean, I'll be interested to see with Jordan Love with the Packers. Every time I've seen him play, I really haven't been impressed.
I guess with Tennessee, with that window as well, the season before was a playoff season.
Yeah,
they were fighting for the championship, the
AFC
championship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were fighting in that championship game. So for their following season to be like, oh, do we even have a quarterback? I think that kind of messed up that window too. I think it messed up his opportunity to prove throughout an entire season.
Well, and Tannehill, I mean, they had the game against the Bengals, and he threw multiple picks down the stretch to lose them that game. So, God, and that's gonna be another crazy thing too. Is it's almost like they're gonna go this whole stretch without Derrick Henry, and they're not gonna make a Super Bowl, and he may be one of the best running backs of all time.
Yeah,
all time. I'm saying that he's leading the NFL in rushing 3-4 years. You know, just incredible, and maybe like I know Jonathan Taylor for the Colts led 1 year, but
I mean he's King Henry for a reason.
Yes. So I mean they're going to lose this window, and Henry's going to be long and gone, and them not having a star quarterback. I'm sorry, Tannehill's not that guy, man. He's a Geno Smith. I know, like I love it when Big Cat from Barstool does his little like quarterback rankings or whatever. And it's like Kirk Cousins, and it's like all the guys that are pretty much just like Kirk Cousins. It's like I like Kirk. Kirk can win you a lot of games, but he's not going to win you a Super Bowl. This guy right here, they're just showing it now, Joe Burrow. Yeah, he can win you a Super Bowl. There's just certain guys, and yes, if you get the right amount of people, there are some guys like Brad Johnson and Trent Dilfer who have won Super Bowls that aren't the number one quarterbacks, but those defenses were the number one defenses in the NFL both years. Yeah. Ravens and the Bucs. Both years, non-competitive top 10 quarterbacks won Super Bowl. They had the number one defense in the NFL. So, interesting to see. I'm excited. Gosh, I'm so excited for NFL and college football already, and we're not even in May yet.
We got the draft next week, right?
Got the draft next week. That's a nice little filler for and you can start thinking, oh, who's going to be with who and who's going to play with who, and
we're excited for the football, but we need to jump into this NBA. Brett's been having a great playoff run with his picks and bets. Me, not so much.
Well, you know. When you get into these pools and you get into these playoff pools, I didn't have a good year in fantasy, Chance. It was one of my worst years after winning it the year before. So when I'm getting into these things, the competitions, the March Madness and stuff, I think I finished both my brackets finished 4th and 5th. So
fantasy for basketball?
For March Madness, I was 4th and 5th, I think, in the pool.
Bracket picks.
Yes.
I thought you were talking about fantasy.
I expect to win every time. I think I do the most studying. I think I do the most research, watch most games than anybody. So I expect to win. And so when I'm making the plays in the games and trying to pick the winners, you know, for our show, I want to pick the teams that I feel like, with my information, are the best teams that are going to win the situation. And right now in basketball, that's happening. I think that Home court is back in effect. That almost makes me think so much about the year that LeBron and those guys won it in the bubble. If you're watching the Kings game last night, that place is rocking. And Steph Curry and those guys are probably a better overall shooting team and stuff like that. But, like, it's like Boston. When you play in the Garden, man, it's completely different than playing in front of no fans. It just is. So it's like, man, this is true playoff basketball, and it's back. And you got franchises like the Kings, like the Suns, that are just so hungry for a championship. Their fans are just all about it. I mean, it really is. And then you got the veteran teams that are in the playoffs too, that are looking to finally get their first championship for their franchise and in a good little bit of time. I mean, Boston. How long has it been since they won? Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett.
Yeah, it's been.
That was a long time ago, Chance.
Yeah.
And now they got Tatum in his prime, Jaylen Brown in his prime. They got, their whole crew is back. This has got to be their year. They're at 1-0 on the Hawks right now, and
no, they're gonna sweep that one 4-0.
I think so too. So, but let's go on, and I want to kind of because I know you've been watching too. First thing I want to talk about is the injuries. 4 or 5 major injuries already in the playoffs. Ja Morant goes down with his wrist. On a dunk against the Lakers. Lakers finished the game on an 18-0 run, go up 1-0. That series is over.
Yeah.
Like, especially if Morant's not coming back. Like, LeBron and the guys struggled to get into the playoffs, but now they're kind of hitting a new I don't know, man. Watch out for the Lakers. That's all I can say, because if they're playing well, I think they can beat anybody.
Yeah, and with them having an easier route, it might be that way.
But, yeah, so Giannis hurts his back. Tyler Hero breaks his wrist, I believe. I think it was his left wrist. So to me, 3 or 4 injuries that are going to affect series. And what do you know? The Heat are up on the Bucks right now. Yeah. When Giannis went out, it's like, golly, that tells you how good of a player he is, because they are not the same team. And same with the Grizzlies. When Ja Morant went out, that's when they went on that big run. It's like they're a different team with him. So if both those teams, who are the 1 and the 2 seed, they don't have their best players, Dunzo.
Their offenses both changed when when both those injuries happened. So
100%, and to me that just tells you how valuable they are.
And what do you think about the Draymond ejection last night, where he steps on the guy? Granted, the guy grabs his leg.
Yes.
Now, if someone grabs my leg, I'm ripping my foot out from there, and you might pull his arm or something. But I'm not stepping on him and pushing off.
I think I'm gonna disagree, Chance. I think if you're in the heat of battle and you're in the heat of a game, if somebody yanks your foot back, your common reaction may be able to almost push back, get off me, kick off me. Where if you're sitting right on top of the guy, that may be a kickoff into their stomach.
Which, I mean, he literally looked down, steps on his stomach. He doesn't. You can tell he doesn't forcefully push down. He pushes off of it.
I felt like it. And then in the Sabonis, you thought he got shot. I mean, you did. Right. Where it's I didn't think he went that hard. Again, you started grabbing his leg first, and he kind of just was it almost seems like one of those things when you if somebody's laying on the ground, you kind of step over their back. It's
and you catch yourself
falling. Yeah, it didn't seem like that violent that what Sabonis made it look. But
when you see him fall and his excuse is, I was trying to protect myself. I know when anybody gets in the fetal position and puts a guard up to protect themselves when they're on the ground, they don't start reaching their arms around things and people. So
I agree with that. So I'm saying I think they gave him a technical foul. Sabonis got the technical, but Draymond gets ejected. And again, this has been a thorn in the Warriors' sides on the years they don't win the championship. Draymond.
Yep.
and his attitude and his technicals. If you don't recall, the year that LeBron won the Cavaliers their only championship, Draymond did not play Game 6. He was suspended because he had gotten an extra technical. Yep. Again, it was like a 3-point game when all this happened. And next thing you know, Sabonis did miss both free throws, and Curry made this. So it was a 2-point game. But now Draymond's gone, who is a key piece to their team. He defends well. He knows the system. They don't need other scorers. They just need guys that can guard their other guys. So to me, his attitude and all that stuff is a huge thorn in the Warriors' side sometimes, especially when they got this team, the Kings, they're as hungry as they are, as young as they are. They're down 2-0. I know they're going back to Golden State, but this is major. I think the Kings are going to do it. I think they're going to beat the Warriors.
I think the Kings have a chance to. That's for sure, if they can play better defense. That's what it's going to come down to.
And that just kind of almost breaks it back down to it's so hard to go back to back to back to back or whatever the case may be. And the fact that LeBron went to 8 straight finals
Yeah.
with all the different teams he played for, but it's like Warriors, they could win the title and be out in the first round. And you actually see that a lot. You've actually seen teams win a title and not make the playoffs. But like Michael Jordan,
Yeah.
LeBron, Shaq, Kobe, these guys go 3-4 years in a row. The Warriors did it, but that was kind of when they had Kevin Durant. That was a different team than what this team is now. And you were thinking that being the defending champion, they were going to make a deep run. But I think Curry had a lot to prove last year, saying, hey, I need to win a championship by myself. I have yet to do that.
Yeah.
And
It was always a Splash Brothers situation, something like that.
well, the first finals he won. Iguodala won the MVP.
Yeah.
The second and third finals, Kevin Durant won the MVP. So this time, it was like, hey, it's my thing, and so that's what last year was so special. And I'm sitting here thinking this right now. We're watching the tube here. They got LeBron James Jr. in a Fast X commercial. We are just talking about the NIL money for these young kids. This kid is in a Fast and Furious commercial at 16, 17 years old, whatever he is. Unbelievable, man. He's going to make so much money. And he still hadn't announced what college he's going to. I mean, is he even going to go to college? He may just go play for the G League.
Yeah, what if he wants to go play European ball and make more money pro?
Good point. But back to the NBA before we get off that. All right. So in these series, the top seeds, the Bucks are down 1-0 to the Heat. The Grizzlies are down 1-0 to the Lakers. The Cavaliers, they're a better seed, are down 1-0 to the Knicks, and the Suns are down 1-0 to the Clippers. So 4 upsets so far in the first round after the first game. Which team do you think is actually going to pull the upset and finish the series and win? Yeah, you can't say the Kings and the Warriors because the Kings are actually the 2 seed. They're the better seed. They had the better year.
I mean, you already know I've got Celtics winning. I've got that.
So we didn't mention that one. So the Hawks, they're already beating the Hawks and they're already up 1-0.
Yeah.
What one of these 4 teams? I think the Bucks are going to beat the Heat. I think if Giannis comes back, they're going to win.
I think the Knicks can sneak out.
I think the Knicks. I think the Lakers and the Knicks. I think the Suns are going to come back and beat the Clippers, but that's not going to be easy. Kawhi Leonard and them are going to make that tough, and they won that first game in Phoenix. And Westbrook's playing, and he's got a chip to with Kevin Durant and all that comes with that.
Westbrook, the one getting mad at the old man in the VIP section.
Well, he had the game-winning block, but yes, Chance, he did go 3 for 19 in the game. 3 for 19.
And then why he's walking through the VIP sections of a stadium to talk trash back to a fan is beyond me. But
him and I want to say maybe Kyrie have been really 2 of the more vocals about getting people ejected from the games. LeBron too, so I put him on there. It's like, man, golly, if you can't take what the fans say, like I know sometimes some of these guys go overboard, but
yeah, if they're being racist or something, of course, get them out. But if you can't take a little bit of heckling of someone just saying you're trash,
even heckling with cussing, I'm saying like that, like come on, you're a pro, like
yeah.
You're
an adult. You're allowed to see an R-rated movie. You can handle a cuss word.
Or calling him Westbrook. That's some of the times that's when he gets really the maddest.
Just because somebody can't get your name right,
Well, it's on purpose, Chance. It's on purpose. All right. So basketball. Just to me, I love the NBA playoffs so much, but it makes me think about how boring the regular season is, man. Because these NBA playoff games are unbelievable. The atmospheres, the games. It's like football. There's so least amount of games that every game is crazy. Where it's like playoffs, the regular season games suck.
Yeah.
But when you get to the playoffs, when NBA, when you get in the regular season, it sucks. When you get to the NBA playoffs, it's like, this is awesome. The fans are engaged. The place is rocking. You get the best players playing the whole time. They don't switch up. They play the whole entire time, and it's best on best. And it's incredible TV, man. It really is.
And my thought on that is because of how the regular season is and how many games they play, the whole season's basically just practice.
Yeah, it's like a marathon almost.
Until the last month of the season.
Yeah.
It's just a practice throughout the season, and then they start actually competing and trying to get the best records near the end so that when it comes to these finals and playoffs, they've got 5 games or so to prove that they can beat the same team over and over again. Instead of it being, all right, just like every other normal sport in high school, college, you get 1 attempt at these teams.
Yeah.
Well, in the pros, you get 4 or more.
Yeah, so baseball, hockey, and basketball are the only, I think, 3
They do a playoff.
that do a true series, which I think is the right thing to do. Now, football, I'd love to see a team like the Chiefs and Bills play 2 out of 3, but you just can't do that.
The bodies couldn't handle
Nope.
it. You'd have to take that would have to be like a 2-week break
And
each
then,
time.
like soccer, they do the best. They do a home and home. Each team gets a home game, and whoever scores the most road goals wins. If you tie,
And soccer plays the day after.
Yeah.
Like if they'll take one day off. Football, you
Yeah.
have to have that 4-day break minimum.
well, and just so you know, they don't play the same team after. They'll play Manchester United will play Manchester City. Then they'll go play 2 other teams during the week, and then they'll come back and play Manchester United the next weekend. It's like the soccer schedule is the weirdest. They're playing in 4 different leagues the whole time. It's crazy.
Well, looks like we're about at the end of our time today, but we really want to catch up this next episode. Probably Thursday we'll film or record. We want to catch up on the MLB start of the season.
Yeah, it's been 15, 20 games in. The Rays finally lost. I know you were sad about that. You were hoping they were going to go 162-0. But Braves are hot right now. Lot of teams trying to figure things out right now. It's still so early in the season, but no, all the focus and attention right now is on the NBA playoffs. And then again, another thing we'll dip into next episode is the Garcia Tank fight. I think that this is one of the biggest fights in a long, long time. Screw McGregor, Mayweather, screw all these other guys. This is a fight that people want to see. 2 young, undefeated guns. You know what? Props to them, Chance, because I think other people are avoiding people because they don't want to lose their perfect record. I like 2 guys that are going to say, you know what? Whatever. Let's fight like Wilder and Fury. It's like, man, you know what? One of us is going to lose eventually. Let's go ahead and do this, and they're going to make a lot of money, man.
I also think they're being smart about it, and if you've noticed, they put a lot of hype videos out. They're even FaceTiming each other on conversations, or it might be Facebook Messenger stuff, but they're video chatting with each other, putting up their purse versus the other, stuff like that, like talking trash to each other, having fun with it. But I think they're doing a lot of this to combat the celebrity boxing and that stuff that the Paul has kind of started, to prove like, no, we're the real fighters. This is the real sport. It's not just their entertainment.
But I don't know. Like, I know you like boxing and you box for a little bit, but even somebody who's not a big boxing fan, when I watch those 2 box compared to Paul and Mayweather, it's a different level. These 2 guys are incredible,
entirely
man.
Different.
These 2 guys are incredible, and at the top of their game. I can't wait. This is a fight that I would buy. I don't say that. I did the Pacquiao Mayweather one. I feel like that was a little bit past their prime, but this one right here is a fight that I would buy and watch because I think it's going to be absolute fireworks.
I agree. It's going to be interesting.
Hey, just like this show, fireworks. I'm loving the fact we're doing the radio type audio episodes, and Chance gives him a chance to help me more a lot out instead of having to be behind the camera. So we're excited. We'll be back Thursday, and we'll see you next time. Final answer.